Hello, it's Monday, June 16th, 2025. I'm Jason Shapiro. See if we can make any sense of this. So, the market gave a pretty loud message pretty early on the reopen today. We had a weekend that was just filled with negative news between the Israel-Iran thing and politicians getting shot in America and, the LA situation and all this stuff. We were just filled with negative news. And the markets opened up Sunday night and they were down, the stock market, for about 2 minutes and was led right back up by the NASDAQ in no time. And that was kind of the first tell, and the market basically went up over the course of the night. And then once it opened up in the cash market, it just went straight up, and then it just kind of held and did nothing most of the day. I have been a little bit hesitant as to the ease of this idea of these wars never end up meaning anything for the markets, end up being bullish in the end. And that seems to be what people are believing here. I would go with the tape way before I go with my beliefs. The tape is positive. We've gone right back to where we were pre this Iran-Israel thing, which is the bull market, and that's where we're at. And I know we spent a lot of time on the Sunday night conversation this week and on other weeks talking about it, but I'll just say it again. I don't think that this is what is relevant. I think what is relevant is this revolution that we're going through here. Arguably the biggest revolution we've ever seen, which is this AI thing. And you can try and fade it and say it's a bubble, but I always say there's a fine line between being contrarian and just being plain stupid. And the fine line is the tape, okay? And the tape is saying it's real. Okay, we've got Microsoft at new highs. We got Nvidia within a couple percent of new highs. We've got Palantir at new highs. We've got the stock NP, which is a rare earth metal company, ripping today. The energy companies, Oklo, uranium. These things are saying that this is real, and you can fight it, and you can say it's not real. But I would suggest waiting until the market tells us that that's the case. And the market, I promise you, will tell us that that is the case. That is not the case. When the time comes, it really will, okay? So I would wait before trying to fade that. In the meantime, as I was saying Sunday night, I think there's a good chance that this thing ends up going into a bubble. Bubbles are born out of bull markets. What it is right now is a bull market. Can it go into a bubble? Yes. Do you want to be short if it goes into a bubble? No. You want to be long. Trend is up. The markets are trading like a bull market, and you have people investing in this that are the richest people in the history of Earth, that have the largest amount of cash on hand in the history of the Earth, and they are pouring money into this. Be it Bezos, be it, the Meta people, you name it. They're all getting into this. And you can fade them and saying they're making a mistake, but again, I would wait until the market agrees with you before I would do that. Okay? And that's what's going on here. And so the error has to be to the long side. It continues to be, you should err to the long side here. It's amazing how lucky you get when you're trading the long side of the stock market here. Okay? Oil clearly is interesting because, same thing. No one wants to believe the war, so they sold oil right from the get-go. It gapped up last night, and then it just went straight down, and then came back a little bit. But of all the ones, I think that this is not the one to be doing this in, because I don't think, not clearly, the path of oil was changed by the stuff in the Middle East, but was only changed, right? Just the path. The general, what oil has been doing, it's been going up for a while now, okay? So, sure, we got a bunch of noise, and it ripped, and then it came off, and all that, but I wouldn't really look to be short oil here, personally. I don't think oil is like, they're going to shut the Straits of Hormuz and the oil is going to go to 200 and that's going to change the global economy. I'm not a believer in that theory. I think all these things offer very fun and interesting conversations to have about what's going to happen here, and nobody knows. Clearly, it's just a bunch of talk, and I personally think it's a bunch of irrelevant talk. You want to talk about something, as I say, talk about the AI revolution, because that's the story here, and that's what's going to be moving the markets. Just the math alone, these stocks are such a large part of the indices. That's what's going to be moving the market, and that's what I think people need to be focusing on, and get rid of all this noise, okay? Which is really all it is. And I'm not disrespecting the fact that people are getting killed. It's horrible. But in terms of market stuff, it's noise. That's what I think. And the market is agreeing at this point. As for the rest of it, the dollar was pretty flattish today. I thought the dollar was really nice today because the things where people are most short, like the Aussie, were up the most, right? And, Canada was up. And the things that people are most long, like the yen, were down the most. Not unusual. We had a risk on day on today. So the risk off things went down, right? The yen and the Swiss, right? I don't think that's unusual, but it's also where the most crowded positioning is. So, good to see that. And Bitcoin just, really ripped higher today and really did not have very much of a pause over the course of the day. Even if the stock market tried to pause during the day and all that, it didn't matter. Bitcoin ripped. And this is really also an AI story, in my view. So that's really kind of the situation. Bonds came off today. Why? Was it because the flight to safety trade came off? Well, the flight to safety trade never went on. Bonds were down on Friday anyway. So where's the flight to safety? I, again, would think that this is a growth thing. Go right back to the AI thing. These companies are making more money with less people. That's growth. Okay? I think that, again, as we talked on the Sunday night conversation pretty extensively, I think the big thing the market's going to have to get over these next few months is the fact that employment is going down. And people that have been playing the recession coming thing have been pointing to employment as the proof of recession coming. So we'll get weak employment numbers, and the markets will have to deal with that. And if the stock market in particular can deal positively with that, that'll be your great news failure. Although you don't need a news failure at this point because we've already had them and the market just keeps going up. But that will be the next thing that the market is going to have to get over. And that is what I personally am watching for as the employment numbers come out. Okay? So that really was that today. I guess the only other interesting is gold got hit pretty bad today. Again, risk off. And silver, where people are the most long, kind of held. Happens. The COT, like I always say, is not some magic bullet that's going to work every single day. It didn't work in this particular situation today. Silver really went nowhere while gold went down a lot, but I think gold was more of the flight to safety trade, and then it gets unwound when stocks go up and, and bonds go down and all that. So I don't think there's anything too unusual there either. All right. So those are kind of my ideas here. I hope this finds everybody well. Please like the video if you like it to help us spread the word. Please check us out, crowdedmarketreport.com, and we will talk again tomorrow. Thank you. Hi, I just wanted to say, if you like these daily videos, we do them 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday, for people, and it costs, $10 a month. And I try to include a lot of other lessons as I go through, as you see in the daily videos as well. For that $10 a month, you also get our COT charts on equity indices and crypto. So if you think that's worth it, give it a shot. All right. And we hope to see you there. Thanks.